All right, welcome to what are we on? Bass Fishing Live. It's
Bass
usually
fishing.
Tuesday night, Eastern Outdoors Media, but Bass Fishing Live, the most popular outdoor sport in America is bass fishing. So we should have a lot of people watching. We already have somebody on here. Let's see who it is. If you're tuning in, make sure you are letting us know where you're watching from, letting us know you're here, saying hi, telling us how your fishing's been going. It's March the 7th, and here in the southeast and Midwest, um, well, we'll say southeast, things will are starting to heat up on the bass fishing
Yes, they
front,
are.
and will just continue to keep getting better. So, who we got in here? Who we got watching us tonight?
A lot going on in the bass fishing world right now. From Bassmaster, they're headed to the classic. The classic's coming up on Bassmaster. They just finished up on Lake Fork. Lake Fork was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal with Trey McKinney. I was watching him last year in the opens. Man, he was dominating. He was very, very good. Comes up to the Elite Series this year. 19, got his first win. So I mean, we'll talk about that a little more as well. But man, bass fishing right now is alive. It is
You,
alive. It's been great.
Josh, I think you need to maybe turn your volume down a little bit. Like there's a, it's kind of like a high pitched on your mic, or maybe
Is that
just
better?
back
Is
up
that
from.
better? Is that better?
Yeah, you still sound a little echoey. Maybe it's just the room you're in. So anyway, Scott Butler's here, Eddie Endicott. Eddie, how's the when do you guys start your tournament trail out there? I don't know. I don't remember Eddie if you're USA Bassin or what you are, but how's that going? Yeah, let us know where you're watching from. If you're, usually we have a lot of Kentuckians on. If you're
Yep.
outside of Kentucky, Josh and I are in Kentucky. Holler at us, and we have we have regulars on here every Thursday too.
Oh
So,
yeah,
uh,
always.
yeah, bass fishing. The bass fishing world is March is a big month for bass fishing with the Classic coming up, Red Crest coming up. Tournaments are in full swing. I saw, Lake Fork, there were some giants caught. I just
Huge.
literally saw on my way here one of my favorite pro anglers, Brian Latimer, was talking about. He tweeted or posted on Facebook and said, "Is Santee Cooper better than Lake Fork?" So they must be catching giants at Santee Cooper as well.
I just looked at it and dude, Scott Martin after today because they just started Santee Cooper today in the opens, and Scott Martin won down in Florida, and then I can't remember what open was between Florida and now, but they went from they're at Santee Cooper now, and Scott Martin's in 10th. He caught like 25 pounds today, so uh, it's doing good. It is thriving. It is thriving.
There you go.
Facebook user here. Hey, if you're just joining us and bringing up a comment here,
That's
um,
Eddie in the cut.
okay, Eddie, if you're watching in our Facebook group, Kentucky
Oh no, that's
Outdoors.
Scott Butler. He put Butler at the end of it. He did.
Oh, okay, okay. So
Yeah.
just if anyone else, if you're watching, sometimes you don't pop up with your name. It says Facebook user just out beside where Scott did there, where you see Butler. Just put your name so we know who you are that is watching.
Scott says his USA Bassin tournaments in Northern Kentucky um, start up soon. And Scott just had a knee replacement and said he's started walking today with no help. Eddie said, "I'm not going to run the NTBA any longer. I'm going to focus on a few local derbies, my family, and my job." You know what? I'm focusing on my family and job too, just not any local
No,
derbies.
hey, guys,
Yeah,
John hasn't been on here for like a month, and I have to give props to him. He has been working his butt off nonstop.
yeah.
You've been nonstop.
Somebody else works their butt off. Jimmy Carroll there. He's watching. Jimmy, we can count on Jim every week. And Jimmy, listen, Jimmy watches. This starts at 9, ends at 10. Jimmy wakes up this morning. I got a text on my phone. So my phone went off. My alarm was set for 6 a.m. this morning. And somebody in our we have a group text because we have a turkey hunting camp coming up. So if you're a hunter, we always have a show on Tuesday nights talking about hunting. We have a turkey camp coming up.
Yep.
And someone texted Bub Tackett, who's a great friend of mine, at 5:58 this morning, text the group chat that he had secured his campground spot for turkey camp. And I was mad because my alarm is set at 6. And you know how terrible it is when your alarm's set at 6 and you wake up at 5:58?
Yeah,
Like that's just the worst feeling. It sucks.
it
If your
is.
alarm's set at 6 and you wake up at 2:30, You're like, oh yeah, 3.5 more hours.
Yeah.
But you wake up 2 minutes before. And so I just replied, like, I'm glad you texted us 2 minutes before my alarm went off. And Jimmy replied, I've been up since 4:45. So Jimmy wakes up early and he's on here twice a week watching our show. So we just can't appreciate him enough. Petty Eddie, I'm not petty. I want those last 2 minutes. I want to wake up on my own accord, not 2 minutes sooner.
Hey, real quick, a couple weeks ago we had Jake Lawrence on. Jake Lawrence lives over here in Western Kentucky, Western Tennessee. Me and Jackson actually was just talking about him earlier. We're about to bring Jackson onto the show. Jake is fishing the BFL right now, and I don't know. Let me turn my light off real quick. You might be able to see it better. I don't know if you can see it or not. No, too bright. Hold on. Two big smallies. He's currently leading out at Kentucky Lake Barkley in the BFL out there. So if you're watching, I'm sure you're not because you're probably busy. Good luck, man. Go get them. But hey, kind of getting around to tonight. Tonight we are having a good buddy of mine. I served with him in the Army at Fort Campbell. He is going to be joining us right now, Mr. Jackson Perry. Jackson, what's up, brother?
How you doing?
Good.
Can't complain, man. Can't complain at all. What's been going on?
Waiting on warmer weather.
Right.
Even though the river opened up, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. It's been an unusually warm winter up here.
Yeah.
So Josh, you introduced Jackson, but you didn't mention he's all the way up in Wisconsin. So when
I was getting to that before I dug into it. I was going to say, Jackson, you've been on here before, but just for our new viewers and people that are just coming on to watch, kind of just introduce yourself, where you're from, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I'm Jackson Perry. Currently living right here next to La Crosse, Wisconsin. So pretty much fish in the Mississippi River and surrounding places. But I guess hung out with Josh for a little while at good old Fort Campbell, and we fished a lot down there too.
Yeah,
that was good.
Yeah, dude, I miss fishing the team tournaments that the USA Bass and tournaments. And I was talking to somebody the other day and was talking about the Jeddah Marina Classic. That was always a fun.
That was a fun one.
To fish. Now, do you miss fishing Kentucky Lake at all?
Not when we were there.
Right.
Now, especially with the smallmouth starting to come into play.
Yeah.
Like a lot. Then I would definitely like to get back down there.
Yeah, dude, I think it's crazy because I went to Kentucky where I always go with my kayak, Sugar Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Went over there and dude, I caught like a 2.5 pound smallmouth.
Yep.
Fishing the banks, and
they're
dude,
in there.
They are, dude. It's crazy.
Yep.
The amount of smallmouth that's caught on that lake now.
I mean, you got to think it's been probably 4 or 5 years of growth that them smallmouth have had since we kind of were right in there.
Yeah.
Them fish are starting to become a big player.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And they were around. They just weren't showing off as much as they are right now, especially in the Toyota series that's there.
Oh yeah. Is it the Toyota series that's there right now?
Yeah. It's let's see. Yeah, it's Toyotas that's there.
Okay, I was thinking it was the BFL. So it's Toyota series. Yeah, that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I mean,
that's kind of a big deal.
Jake is leading it right now with like 24 pounds of smallmouth. Or at least it's two that he held up or smallmouth. He might have a green one mixed in there. Who knows?
Yeah, that's wild. That is wild. So you're up north. When does the water actually? I remember you posting a picture. When does water start? I guess the lakes start unfreezing or start thawing out a little bit.
I mean, most of them are right now.
Are they?
They are wide open. I mean, I took my big boat out on the river the other day.
Did you?
Yeah, a couple days. But it's been unusually warm. The warmest water I saw 2 days ago was already 50.
Oh, wow.
And on like the main channel, I saw in between like 38 in the morning to 43 in the afternoon. So I mean, it would take a extreme cold spell to freeze everything back up.
Right. Yeah. What's the average temperature right now? You talking like 30s, 40s still in
I
the
mean,
morning?
it's been getting in the high 50s, low 60s during the day.
Oh yeah, it's about to warm up.
Yep.
It's about to warm up. Go
But
ahead.
I've also seen multiple feet of snow in March. So never know.
Yeah. Yeah, a guy at work today was telling me, I was asking him about his garden. He literally like lives, eat, and breathes his garden. Like if he's not at work, he
Mhm.
goes home and like on a Saturday, I bet he
Literally
wakes up.
eats his garden.
Shut up, John. But he gets up at like 6 a.m. on Saturday and spends all day until that night in his garden doing. That's just his thing. He's told me he's like he's like a retired 38-year sergeant major, and dude, he just loves his garden. He's told me, dude, he says that he's grew gardens in Korea, he's grew gardens and everywhere. Like he is very, very proud of it. But I'll give it to him. He can definitely grow a garden.
All right.
What I'm trying to bring his comment up here. Facebook user says, Jackson, where, if ever, will the next world record smallmouth come from? It's from here in Kentucky currently.
World record smallmouth? Ooh. What is a world record smallmouth? I don't even know.
It was at Del Hollow Lake.
Yeah, it was a Dale Hollow. I know that. World record smallmouth. I'm gonna look. I don't know. 11 pounds, 5 ounces. Man, you know, a lot of people.
Pounds, it was 11 pounds, 15 ounces.
Or yeah, 11 pounds, 15 ounces. Yep. And here's my thing about that. A lot of people, you know, would assume that the world record smallmouth is swimming around in Lake Ontario or something.
Right.
But to get that big up here, I mean, our growing season is literally cut in half compared to like Texas and Florida.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a record caught out of Kentucky Lake someday, the way that place is shaping up.
So I think the guy, we posted about it, a guy who caught the Lake Erie smallmouth record, it was 10-15, so it was a pound less. I don't know if it'll ever be beat, honestly. I think 11-15 is going to stand.
Yeah,
I'll stand another 100 years. You know, eventually, at some point, and they're doing, you know, we have the Florida bass, you have the tiger bass, the F1s, and all this. At some point, they're scientifically going to figure out how to just grow giant bass.
Yeah, correct.
Right, and it's going to be crazy, and you know, you might have a 15-pound smallmouth. I mean, it would literally be a sphere. So I don't know. 11.
It makes me think, Jackson. So I think every time I go to Kentucky Lake, the first thing I think of is buckbrush, just because of you. That's the first thing I think of. And you catching that 6-pounder, I don't remember where it was at. I'm not going to say, but
I know where it was at.
But you catching it, dude. Just imagine that was a big fish.
Mm-hmm.
Big fish, a 6-pound. Imagine one double that size and being a smallmouth.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I've seen largemouth almost 11 pounds, but smallmouth, ooh.
Dude, yeah, it's like I feel like it would explode. You know, it's just gotten so big.
Yeah, and I don't, you know, to answer the question, I don't think it's going to come from up north. I think it's going to be Dale Hollow, Cumberland. I bet it's going to be somewhere Kentucky, Tennessee that it's going to get beaten at because they just have a longer growing season and they're not going to be as old when they get to that.
So if you've ever heard the story, the guy that caught it. Now I don't know. We need to look at a map because I don't know if he caught it on the Tennessee side or the Kentucky side. I know it was Del Hollow. I know Kentucky claims it. I'm guessing Tennessee probably claims it too. The guy was from Tennessee, but he caught it. I watched a video of him talking about it. and he was trolling. So he had his rods out there in the back, and he was trolling, I guess, with a little plug tied on. I don't know, and it wasn't. He didn't catch it on live bait. I don't think. I don't remember. I'm trying to find
I
it.
really don't know anything
But
about
he says theirs was a bigger one than that. I'm pretty sure I saw in a video because they interviewed him. I'm pretty sure there was a bigger one than that. I just know the biggest smallmouth I ever caught was 5 pounds. I can't imagine what basically a 12-pound smallmouth would look like.
So it states that he was fishing with his family, trolling with a bomber water dog.
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah.
similar to a hellbender metal lipped deep diving crankbait. So
yeah, that's what I thought it was.
And you know how accurate is the information? I mean, we're talking 1955. So
it is accurate because he gave the interview in like the 90s talking about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was cool.
He was trolling. Yeah, you can watch the video. He was just trolling with that crankbait on there and hooked up. Wow.
Yeah, I'm trying to find what side it was on, but it doesn't say. It doesn't say. Maybe he didn't want to give his spot away.
Did you show the picture?
I can. Yeah, let me get it pulled up here.
I got it right here. I got it.
You pulling it up?
Yeah, I got you.
What's the biggest smallmouth you've caught up north, Jackson?
Honestly, not that big. The biggest one I've ever caught has been a 5.4.
Yeah.
Which isn't really that big. That was over on Sturgeon Bay, and they grow them a lot bigger over there than 5 pounds 4 ounces.
There it is, world record smallmouth with missing
crazy.
A tooth.
That's what you see. I guess you really can't miss it.
It's kind of the focal point of the picture, right?
It really is. Yeah, it kind of makes the picture.
See a gap in the guy's, 1955, man.
Well, if there was one bigger than that, that fish is dead and long gone.
Yeah.
Well, can you still see my screen? There's replicas. I think more than one replica made.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can't see it now. I missed it. But anyway.
And he said he thinks it's still swimming in Dale.
Might be.
It wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me if the next world record comes out of Cumberland or Dale Hollow.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It is crazy, man, how good obviously the northern population is just crazy.
That's as south as you can go for good smallmouth, though.
Yeah.
Dale Hollow's the south as you can go, I think, for really good quality.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, it's kind of like that straight line across Tennessee where it's like you got Dale, Cherokee, Norris, and then it's just kind of dies out. But then you get more south where you just came from, get down to Florida, and then you're catching 10-pound largemouth. How'd your trip down to Florida go?
I was kind of more of a vacation than a fishing trip. But it was actually super cold when we went down there.
Really?
I mean, cold for Florida in the 50s.
Right.
Got into the 70s during the day, but them fish did not want to bite very good.
Where did y'all fish at?
Kissimmee Chain.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So last year when we went down there, we had a 38-pound stringer by 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And this year, like one of the days, we only caught like 4 fish. So it was definitely tough. Cold front. You had to throw a bait out there and just let it sit.
Yeah.
It was tough.
Yeah. See, I want to go down south and fish for largemouth, but I also want to go up north and fish for smallmouth. I'm kind of torn because John wants to go up. He went to St. Clair. How long ago, John? 3 years ago?
Yeah, about 3 years ago. And I say I'm going back every spring, and it's just not happened.
Yeah, so he wants to go up north and fish for smallies. I want to go down south and fish for more largemouth. I want to go to, Chick was the big place forever, but everybody talks about how it's kind of died down since I guess the big tournaments there just gets a lot of pressure and everything. I mean, I'm sure there's still big fish to be caught there, but I mean, obviously, I want to go to Lake Fork.
When we first started doing our shows and Eastern Outdoors stuff, Chick was all the rage. Everyone wanted to go to Chickamauga. That was just 4 years ago. And because of the pressure and everything, I think it's still great, but it drops every year in the rankings. Gunnersville seems like it has risen some. But if I would much rather go somewhere, instead of going to those big lakes that get hammered. I'd rather go somewhere like Cherokee, where I know I can catch a lot of fish. It's not, 100,000 acres
Right.
big. I'd rather go somewhere like that. St. Clair, if you've never been to St. Clair, I mean, you launch and you turn around, you're like, I'm in the Atlantic Ocean. Like it just goes as far as you can see.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even, it's compared to the the Great Lakes that surround it, it's not even close to the same size. But you can be out in the middle of it, and you see like the towns around the coast, and the buildings are small. You're like, wow, I'm 12 miles out here, and it's only 8 feet deep, right?
Yeah.
12 feet deep. So it's just a different fishery. If you don't have like a good V bottom boat, or you're not great in your boat, I went with someone I met on YouTube who was very experienced. I would not go for the first time by myself out there, because if you get on the St. Clair fishing group, that lake takes like one bass boat per week. Like someone per week, there's a bass boat going down.
Yeah.
And so it's not anything to mess with. When I was there, you weren't allowed on the Canada side. It was COVID year. Literally, if you went toward Canada, they would stop you, make you go back. And so I think like the 2 years after that, the Canada side was on fire.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like up here. I mean, all the big tournaments, typically stay south for the most part.
Yeah.
But a lot of people that want to go on a fishing trip for vacation, they really look past a lot of the lakes up here, but they don't understand that 6 months out of the year, those fish don't get any pressure.
Yeah.
Right.
It's froze.
Yeah.
So that helps a ton when you're talking about catching numbers and catching big ones, because I mean they aren't nearly as educated as they are on your Chickamauga, Fork, wherever.
Gunnersville, all the
yeah. I mean, not that you can't go there and catch a bunch of them, because it's definitely possible. And I've had trips to Florida on very popular lakes. Went to Gunnersville once, had a great time. Chickamauga, I've caught a lot of fish there.
Yeah.
But it's definitely more challenging, I would say.
Right.
These fish don't see any pressure.
Right.
For a lot of the year.
Jake,
do you enjoy ice fishing?
No.
Yeah, I've always wondered.
Jackson
if you're
enjoys
watching, let's ask people.
During the ice fishing.
If you are watching, how many people do we don't have a lot watching? We have 15. That's plenty. Have you guys ever ice fished before? I know Jackson has. He's from Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of have to, right? I think if I grew up in Wisconsin, I would want to ice fish and play hockey. That's the two things I think I'd want to do. I just think that would kind of be what
we were just talking about that the other day too.
I think we would have played hockey. And I think we would have ice fished. But now that I, growing up in Kentucky, ice fishing looks miserable. I would never want to do it.
I am not a fan of it because, I mean, one, I don't have like good equipment to go ice fishing.
Yeah, you gotta have
it. I think like most of the stuff that I have came from my parents' house that was probably bought at like a garage sale.
Right.
It's not. I'm not nearly as into it as what would be, in the bass boat. I like being in the boat, open water. I can move around and not have to worry about looking at the bottom.
Yep.
Anthony here. So we got two comments that kind of segue together. Anthony's talking about how much he loves wading creeks. That's probably pound for pound. I mean, that's not the correct thing to say, but it is fish per fish or day per day. That is my favorite probably way to fish. If I know that I'm going to catch a lot of fish, like I can here near my house in Elkhorn or places Josh and I have been, Kentucky and Tennessee, I don't think you'll find a better two states that you can wade and catch really nice, 3-pound smallmouth in a skinny creek, that's or catch a pound smallmouth in some riffles that fight you like it's the world record. So we love to wade fish. And then talking about creek fishing adventures with fur and feathers, I don't remember who that is. They'll have to remind me who it is. But they said the white bass are about to run here in Nolin River. Probably still got – so the white bass run, we've talked about it extensively. Once the water temp gets to 55 degrees and it stays there all day, like if it hits 55 in the afternoon and falls back to 47 or something like that, they'll run a little bit. But once it hits 55, maintains 55, and the water has some movement to it, the white bass are on fire. Now, I say that from talking to people who fish for white bass literally all over the state. I've never really went down there and just burned it up. I've only been a few times to the runs. I'd like to do that this year, though. But yeah, that's a big thing in Kentucky, the white bass run.
And for sure.
Probably in the next, I don't know, 2 to 3 weeks, it'll really, really start to heat up. So
yeah, with Anthony Jones's comment, man, that's how I learned how to fish. I grew up in eastern Kentucky where the Cumberland River starts.
Yeah.
And the biggest smallmouth I've ever caught was like 4 pounds out of a creek as wide as the house I live in right now, which is not very big.
Yeah.
It's insane, man. It's a lot of fun. Me and John, when we get to, it's been a while, but we like to take our kayaks to different rivers and small creeks and stuff, just small tributaries. Sure. And we've done like 14, 16 mile.
We did 19 miles in one day
and caught a lot
kayak,
of fish.
Not wading in a kayak, yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I enjoy it. I really do. But Jackson, so what is your? I know you fish the BFLs down here in Kentucky. You fish the BFLs up north, in the La Crosse area as well. So what's your plan for this upcoming year?
Man, I was talking to a few people about that today. The entry fee went up. And I mean, not a lot, but it did. I think it went up last year, and the payout always seems to go down. So
big. That's another argument in bass fishing overall, from the bottom to the top. It's that is a huge debate between anglers and owners and stuff. So go ahead. Sorry.
And I talked to a guy today who's been very, very successful up here and pretty much all over the place. But he was talking that there's not enough money in like any local tournaments that pay out a couple of grand or a BFL or anything. Well, a BFL is different because you have contingency, but any like the local level, the couple grand payouts to him are not worth the time he has to put in order to win them, because he also values his time as part of his yearly earnings, and which makes a lot of sense. So he's actually not going to fish any of the or like a couple of the local circuits around here, but he'll fish a BFL because there's a pretty good chance he's going to win it.
Right.
And he has a newer boat, so he gets the contingency money for that.
Yeah.
But now there's me, and I've had some really good days out here on the river where I feel like, especially last year, I feel like I could have done very well. Yeah. Maybe won an event or two, like BFL wise. But those aren't as common as they are for some other anglers around here that have lived here their whole life.
Yeah.
But we're getting there. So I don't know what I'm going to fish. I'm going to fish a BFL probably just because it's going to be a week beforehand, and I'm going to be on something, or maybe not get the itch to go fish it. But there will be some tournaments.
Well, would you consider yourself kind of like just scrappy? You're going to fish a tournament here, fish a tournament there, fish different events and different circuits and stuff like that.
Yeah, the one that's really kind of got me thinking right now is the Wisco Bass Single Series, and that goes all over the state.
Okay.
The entry fee is like $250, and the tournaments are on a Sunday. So, like me, that works every day of the week,
Right.
I have Saturday to go out and mess around and see if I can pull something together, which is nice.
Right. Yeah.
Because like a BFL is on a Saturday. A lot of
Yeah.
times I got to show up and just go fish,
Right.
and that doesn't always work.
Yeah.
Especially on the river where they move every day.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah, man. It's not even just for the working man, but making a living fishing it's
Nearly
not
impossible.
impossible, but it is almost impossible. It
you know,
is.
I
It
watched
is.
I watched a podcast with Swindle the other day,
Yeah.
and it was on Zeldane's podcast, and he was talking. In order to really make it, you gotta be a hustler. You have to. You have to, come up with different ways to make money because you're not gonna do it with a rod and reel.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
And just talking about local tournaments, like Josh and I have always said, like, yeah, I'd like to go up there and compete. It's gotten tournament fishing's gotten to a point now, and this is just my opinion. Like even in your local tournaments, even if I go out here to Guest Creek Lake and there's 30 boats in it, half of them now they already had nicer boats than me, but now they have $20,000 worth of equipment to win a $700 check once a week, and it's like it's not even worth it. Like
That doesn't make sense to me.
yeah, it's
It's,
just
it's,
crazy. Like yeah, if you got the money to spend, where I don't care how people spend their money, but when it comes to tournament fishing, you spend so much to get an edge. And if you won a tournament per week, it wouldn't cover a third of what you spent in your fuel, in your electronics, in maintenance. I mean, it's just tournament fishing has gotten outrageous. It's just crazy. And then even in the last 3 years, it's just went crazy.
Mhm. And that's a really, really nice part about the Mississippi, the upper Mississippi anyway,
Yeah.
is in the summertime, a lot of your bags are caught frogging
Yeah.
Yeah.
and, throwing a swim jig down a grass line or something. Live scope doesn't work in the grass.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It-
why
I-
that's,
Not
that's
up
why
here.
I like
The
the Florida
grass,
tournaments.
the grass up here is so different than the rest of the country. Even I mean, it is nasty.
Yeah.
You can't live scope in the grass. You can look at a grass edge, and throw a swim jig chatterbait down the edge of it, sure.
Yeah.
But the guys that are doing well are up in the slot where it doesn't. You got the same chance in a John boat as you got in your $100,000 Ranger.
Yeah.
To win that tournament.
And as far as just a fan of the sport, like, I remember when I was a teacher and these tournaments would come on, I literally would give my kids something to do, my students something to do, and I would watch it. I would watch Major League Fishing on my screen. And it's gotten to now where I don't even want to watch it, because I told Josh the other day, Mike Iaconelli said he was going to sell ad space on the back of his neck because that's all people see when they're watching now, and it's just, I prefer, like, I've always been a fan of Iaconelli, and I like guys like Jacob Wheeler and these guys, but now give me somebody like John Cox, who he won a tournament last year, and they asked him about Forward Faces Sonar, and he's like, man, it's in the truck. I've not even hooked it up.
Yeah.
And he cashed $100,000 check.
Yeah.
And it's going to get harder to do, but I don't know.
I think this is the perfect. I got to ask Jackson about it. The kind of the perfect segue.
You guys are going down this hole, huh?
Yeah, might as
All
well.
right. May as well.
Everybody right now, everybody's going crazy about scoping. I mean, everyone, whether it's locals or whatever. I cannot make a Facebook post. Cannot make a post without negativity towards live scope. Like it's outrageous, and I hate the negativity. I really do. And I've listened to
no, we don't. We love the negativity because it
brings
more people commenting.
It brings more people around. You're right, but I hate the way people act about it. I really do. I think, I've been listening to some podcasts, like you said. I listened to the Bilge the other day, and it was who was it? Seth Fighter, Seth was on there, another Northerner. I think he's from Michigan or Minnesota. Minnesota. And he had a good point. He said, and I think he has the best view of it. He's like, hey man, I'm not against live scope. I'm not. He said, it's here to stay. There's nothing we can do about it. So we have to adapt and learn how to use it. But he also, he said, and it's a really good point, was it took me 20 years to learn how to bass fish good.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have these 20-year-olds that fish for 2 years, and they're way better than me.
Yep.
That's like, because it's scoping, it's, and I'm not against it. I'm not. I kind of see both sides of it. I see positives. I see negatives. I think it's good for the sport. I think it's bad for the sport. I'm kind of in between, but regardless, I'm not against it because it's not banned. Now, if they ban it, I'm like, okay, you can't use it. It's like, it's part of the rules. So my big thing is when people get, heckled for it and they're like, oh, you're using live scope, you couldn't win without it. And it's like, well, this dude's fishing for a living. Do you want him to put it up while the other 99 get to use it? And he sits on the bank trying to catch a fish that ain't there. Like, what do you want him to do?
Yep.
So I kind of just want to hear your view. I know you're up north. I know there's a lot of scoping goes on up there, especially for smallmouth. Let's kind of hear just your point of view where things are today with the whole electronics ordeal.
So how many people we got watching this right now?
A total of 12.
Okay, there's going to be 12 different opinions on this deal.
Yep.
So, but here's mine. I can't say that I don't like it because I won a lot of money last year, not solely because of it, but it definitely helped.
Right.
How much did you win?
Grand total was just under 50,000.
Oh, nice.
That's good.
Yep. So it was a pretty good year. But so I can't say I hate it. Now, is it getting kind of ridiculous how much money can go into it? Yeah. I bought it when the LVS 32 was relatively new.
What is that? What LVS?
That's not the first generation Garmin Live Scope, but it's the one before the one that's current right now.
The Live Scope Plus, or
yeah, it's the one before that.
Okay.
So it's not the newest, but it's not old by any means.
Right.
So the LVS 32.
Yep.
So there's a LVS 32, LVS 34, and an LVS 62.
Yep. So the 62 was pretty much saltwater based.
Yeah. So the 32, you're saying you've had yours for a while. It's still $1,500.
Right.
Yeah, I think Bass Pro's got them on sale for like $1,000. Whatever. Whatever.
Right.
But the thing with it is I feel like a lot of people watch these pro events and think they need to have 6 graphs on their boat and 2 live scopes on their trolling motor. And now we got live coming off the back for side imaging and all this stuff. There's people running around on the pro side with 40, 50 grand worth of electronics on their boat.
Right.
To me, that's fine because they are out there making a living doing that. Your guy that fishes the BFLs, you're not. It is. I mean, unless you just fish for the trophy, which a lot of people do. But if you don't make any money at it, like you're not going to last that long anyway.
Do you think that the pros who are fishing the Elite Series and the Bass Pro Tour should not be allowed to drop down a class and fish against the people trying to make it in the other series? Does that make sense? Because you'll see a lot of them drop down and win a BFL or win a Toyota series or win a Tackle Warehouse series, whatever. Do you think that's unfair?
No.
I don't know.
I would much rather fish against, just say if Seth Fighter just rolled into town tomorrow, and we're fishing a derby on Saturday.
Yeah.
I'd much rather fish against Seth Fighter than fish against some of the locals here.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And points wise, if they're trying to make it to the next level, their points don't matter. So
Right.
you may as well forget about it.
Right.
Other than the money thing, no, I think they should be allowed to do it. Yeah,
I
don't
think
see
they should, just because, I mean, I'm not going to name names, but we know people. I mean, everybody does that fish on the pro series, like the elite Bass Pro Tour. They're not making anything. Like, unless, like, these guys are plumbers and electricians and landscapers half the year just to pay for their fishing. They're not making money. They're losing
Yeah.
money.
And when you're talking about 40 grand worth of grafts in your boat, that's a huge expense that pros have now that they didn't have 10 years ago.
Right.
And the payout is less than what it was 10 years ago, and the entry fees have gone up.
Crazy.
So to me, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I
think in the long run, money payouts and stuff, they're going to have to figure that out for these, especially on the pro level, like your mainstream guys. Like you have your Iconellis and your Swindles and guys like that, but those are like your
top
like
1%.
your top 1%, top 2%, of the professional anglers. Like it's not. There's very few of them. Very few. It's Seth Fighter said that he thinks this year specifically, he said in that podcast that it would be really hard to be a rookie right now.
Mm-hmm.
Really hard. He said JT Tompkins, I think's his name,
Yep.
dominated the Opens and struggled to get sponsors going into the Elite Series,
Yep.
And dominated. It's
I'll tell you the guy that's figured it out. If you want to get paid to fish now, don't be a professional fisherman. Be a content creator, because you're going to make more money through TikTok and YouTube and Facebook if you're good at it than you are. The guy that's figured it out is Ben Milliken.
Oh yeah.
He does not have to. He doesn't. It does not matter how he does on the Elite Series. He's making bank through social media.
Mm-hmm.
So he built his following. And now he's finishing top tens in a lot of his tournaments.
Dude's a hammer, dude.
He is the next 20 years. He's the example of what guys need to do.
It's
just
crazy,
like Gerald Swindle said.
Dude,
I talked to Mark Menendez. This is probably 3 or 4 years ago, and he was like, he was telling me like, we need people like what we're doing to talk about bass fishing. He said, I remember when I first started, I had to, literally send things in the mail to try to get sponsors. And I had to get on the phone. I had to do this. And he's like, now you just got to be known. He's like, that's the problem. And he told me straight up, he's like, look, a lot of professional anglers, they don't want to put in the work doing media, doing social media. He's like, and that's where people are going to get paid and build their brand going forward. He was saying that 3 or 4 years ago, and it's way more important now than it was then. So,
Ben, dude, he's like you said, he doesn't need. And the reason I like him, like I got on YouTube today, and yesterday he released a video, and it said, all the spring tips the pros don't want you to know. I'm like, he's not.
The Pat McAfee of bass fishing.
He really is. Like he does.
And he has 500,000 followers on every platform.
He really does. And let me ask you this, Jackson. Kind of going back to live scope and graphs and everything. I've heard some of the pros talking about how they have 4 live scope transducers on their boats, and it's crazy. Like some dude's got like 4 screens up front, 4 screens up back. It's just a lot going on with their electronics. But I seen a story. And I can't remember what angler it is, but they found a way to basically Bluetooth his glasses.
Yep.
To the graph, and he doesn't even have to look down. Like he sees everything with his glasses
Yep.
Do you think that's too far, or do you think that's like just being innovative? You know?
I mean, there's being innovative, and then there's I don't even know how to put it. The glasses thing doesn't bother me so much because they're not. All they're doing is taking the screen and putting it here.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like
Instead of
hooking your
down.
computer up with an HDMI or something. It's
Right. So that to me isn't that big of a deal. But that technology is going to be very expensive. I mean,
Oh yeah.
what are the Apple, or what are the new Apple glasses or whatever they have?
yeah, it's like $3,500.
Yeah,
Right. So now add another $2,000 to that, and now you got the Garmin all-seeing, whatever they call them. That's what it's going to be.
Yeah, dude.
And all it is it ain't nothing different than a beat-down mount that just raises it up in front of your face.
Yeah.
So the glasses doesn't bother me. What is coming is going to start to bother me a little bit, because when you start screwing around with all that stuff, people are going to start to figure out how to see with the glasses into the water, through the water. They're going to be able to see a map in front of them, and it's going to lay out contours on the lake. All this stuff can happen, and somebody's already figured out how to do it.
Oh, I'm sure.
That stuff is coming. I always use NASCAR as an example because they can make them cars go as fast as they want to.
Right.
But NASCAR has a limit on what they can and can't do.
Yep.
Eventually, I would guarantee that is going to happen in fishing, from the pro level all the way down to your states, like Fish and Game, DNR. They're going to start putting some restrictions on some of this.
There's going to have to be eventually. I think some, like you said, I mean, some states are already kind of looking at the idea of banning live scope and stuff like that.
Right.
And then I've heard some of the commentators during either the Bassmaster event or the Major League Fishing event. They were saying that they have a group of people that are watching very, very closely, like a panel of people that are, and they're kind of debating on what their next step is with live scope. Because dude, it's I hate the negativity, but dude, there's a lot of it.
There's a lot of it, and
fans don't like it. Just quit watching, and they'll change it.
Well, it's not. No, I'm not just talking about just fans. It's the anglers, man. There's a lot of anglers that are very open about how much. Like one guy said, he was. They brought it up, and he was like, "It's not fishing. It's not fishing." Yeah. He's like, "It is not fishing whatsoever," and he wasn't happy about it. It's. I don't remember what angler it was, but he was not. He was very open about it, and yeah, it's wild, man. It really is.
So look, we have 5 minutes left, and I want to ask Jackson a question. You said you've been watching the Bilge. Is it just the Bilge, right? The podcast?
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of those.
So you think Jacob Wheeler cheats?
No.
They kind of insinuated that. I don't know if you saw that one, but they said that there was
I saw that one.
A guy who couldn't pass the lie detector test. Everyone thinks they were talking about Jacob Wheeler. Do you think he cheats?
No.
Or do you think he has cheated?
I'm not going to say he never has.
Okay.
But I'm not talking about just an MLF event.
If you cheat one time, are you a cheater?
If you do it,
I know some people that are.
If you do it in a manner that you know good and well that you are outside of the rules, then I would say yes. I don't think that's ever happened.
He's one of my favorites.
I think with Wheeler's incident, I think it was was one of them like uneligible water or whatever. Like he was supposed to be like he wasn't fishing water that was legal to fish in the tournament. I
thought it was something with docks.
Yeah,
like you couldn't throw it inside of the dock or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of like Keith Poche's deal last year or the year before. He He jumped a
I'm Team Keith.
he jumped a
Like a dike.
yeah, he jumped it and got to another area and
yeah.
fished, and somebody seen him and took pictures. It was a really, really cool
But
picture.
you know, this year with MLF on Toledo Bend, he did. I think it's Toledo Bend. He did the same thing, and it was fun. He's allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And if each organization has a different set of rules when it comes to that.
Yeah.
So,
Is he fishing both again this year?
I meant to look that up the other day.
I think he's just on MLF this year.
I'm not
I
sure.
think he is.
And he had a fantastic year in both though. Like
Yeah, he fished great. Like, dude, Jackson, let me tell you something, dude. It's crazy to me. So me and John go down to Knoxville last year to the Classic, and we go to the boat launch, and we talked to some of the anglers, and then we went over to the dock as before the national anthem and everything. And you got these dudes every nitro that pulls up, so like the 21XL, every Bass Cat's 21-footer, like all these massive boats, the big fiberglass boats, huge, nice boats. Keith O'Shea pulls up in like this 18-foot Gator Tracks.
Yep.
I mean, dude, he had stripped.
which costs as much as the 21-foot.
Yeah. And he had stripped everything from it, dude. Everything. And I just remember looking at his Marshall thinking, that poor guy.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be a rough ride. But, dude, it's wild to me that he took that boat and was extremely successful.
Oh, yeah.
Like, extremely successful.
You're fishing for fish that never get touched.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. It's wild.
You got to be better, be different. He's chosen to be different.
Yep.
Right. And that's where I think a lot of the hate with the live scope comes from, is because I think a lot of the anglers from the pro level down to the bottom, they're not willing to either get good at it or put the time in to get good at it. It's no different than skipping docks. You have to go do it all the time to get good at it.
Yeah.
Does it make it a little easier? Yeah.
Jackson, do you prefer? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I thought you were finished.
Do you need 4 12s to be successful with it? No, you do not. You absolutely do not. So I know a lot of people run them on 9s.
Yeah. Yeah.
They do
I think they were saying the other day too that you don't like the pro anglers. Yeah, they have the 4 different screens and stuff, but for your average guy, and I think Jake Rasmussen, I know I'm saying his name wrong, about Rasmussen. He's another Wisconsin guy. He kind of said, like, he said, look, if you don't like it, but you want it, just save a little money here or there, and eventually you can put it on your boat. Yeah. Like put back a little bit of money every paycheck.
And then by the time you save it, the technology is going to advance and yours is outdated.
Well, but regardless, it's going to take, if it takes 2 years to get it, it takes 2 years to get it. And then the guys on the Bilge podcast, they had a good point too. They said, just because we have it, don't mean you need it.
No.
You can have one screen with live scope on the front, and then you can have your Humminbird on the back with your maps and your side imaging, and you can win tournaments that way. You don't have to have 4, 6, 8 screens on a boat to win. You don't have to.
No, you don't.
All right. 10 o'clock, I got one more thing. Jackson, do you prefer MLF or Bassmaster?
Bassmasters.
Woo! Me too. Yep. I love both. I love the format of MLF. I really do. I enjoy watching both. But the Classic draws me in so much more.
There's a lot of.
Hey, I'm going to let you guys finish. I got to go.
Okay.
Jackson, I appreciate your time, brother.
Yeah, you too.
Oh, I just about ended it. All right.
Go ahead.
There's a lot of shadiness going on with MLF.
Yeah, dude, there's a lot going on. I don't know. I talk to guys from Major League Fishing. I talk to guys from the Bassmaster, the Elite Series, and I've not met one yet that's been like mean or disrespectful or anything. They're all very nice guys. I think up top though, with the leadership, there's just something happening. I don't know what it is. I'll probably never know, but
we never will. We're not there. We're just speculating, but it does seem like there's a lot of red flags that are going up. Especially what we were just talking about with the rules.
No.
I think there is a lot of gray in their rule book
Yeah.
that allows these conversations to happen.
Right.
Where, I've read both rule books. Um, the Bassmaster one definitely seems way more clear cut.
Yeah.
And
I'll give MLF. You know what? I can't speak on that because I've never read both, but I've never read either. But Bassmaster's been around for a long time. They've probably theirs is more clear cut. They've probably gotten a better idea on how they want to run things and stuff. But yeah, man, I don't know. I know I love bass fishing. I love watching it. I love doing it. I love talking to guys that fish in Major League Series or Major League Fishing and Elite Series. I like talking to everyone about fishing. I love just hearing people's opinions and stuff. And dude, it's crazy right now. I'm just ready kind of for it to calm down and go back to just normal fishing. And that's what I feel like it's not about fishing right now. It's about something totally different.
no, it's something about it's. I don't even know what to call it right now because you can't even turn on like MLF Live or whatever they call it and watch it without the forward sonar debate coming up.
I know, man.
Like even in the announcers are talking about it. It's like, man, I'm not against it.
Yeah.
But where it is going, I don't like.
Right.
I see a lot of bad coming up.
Yeah.
And it 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 412s on your boat, you were the man. Like you had it.
Yep.
Now,
I remember. I don't ever remember seeing more than 4 when me and you would fish together.
No,
Never. Yeah.
And now, I mean, if you ain't got 6, you may as well just go home. Most people feel like, which isn't true at all.
It's crazy, dude.
But
Crazy.
That's what people think because that's what the companies want.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, and I don't blame them for trying to make money.
Got them. Yeah, it's their livelihood too. And that's the thing. There's money in it everywhere. There's money to be made. Yeah. People don't want to lose their money, and I think that's a big topic of it too, which is way over my head. But
oh yeah, mine too. I mean, I'm just gonna go out and keep trying to
just go fish, right?
Because I'm not at the Elite Series level. Right. Obviously, I'm sitting here, in my house, instead of on tour. But it, I feel like a lot of them guys just want to go flip boat docks.
Oh yeah, I'm sure,
and try to win a tournament.
I know I would want to.
I mean, that's exactly what I want to do. When Van Dam was really, whooping everybody on the whole side imaging thing.
Yeah.
It was the same conversation.
Oh yeah.
But he was just better than everybody else, not just at side imaging, but at
fishing. Yep.
And
I agree.
When I was watching the Bassmasters on Fork, there was a lot of guys up shallow. There was a lot of guys out deep.
Yeah.
That tournament was huge in that forward sonar debate because the weather changed.
Yeah.
There was fish on the bank that would have won the tournament.
Yeah.
But because of the weather change, they all ended up deep.
They pushed out.
Yep. But you watch some of them younger guys that are scopers, they can fish.
They can, dude.
I
don't take it. I think there's no taking that from them at all.
No, it's just another tool that they have that they are better.
Yep.
So you either get on it or, you're not going to make it. I mean, that's.
Oh yeah, dude. That's part of it. Every angler we've talked to, every angler I've listened to, if you ain't running it and you ain't trying to adapt,
right,
you're not gonna win.
I mean, some examples of guys that are trying to adapt is like, Brian New.
Mhm.
I mean, he's even considered what I would call a younger guy, but he wins a lot of money. Um,
Won
and
his first Elite Series event.
yeah, and
We talked to him the other day, and it was kind of, we kind of like what you said. It's like, he likes to. I mean, he didn't specifically say flipping boat docks and bushes and
mhm,
stuff like that, but that's what he likes to do. That type of thing, that type of fishing. But he even said like it's time to, I got to learn how to do it.
right.
That's what it is.
And I mean, that's kind of where I'm at too, where I'll I'll go places that aren't the Mississippi and get better,
Right.
at it.
Yeah.
Um, as far as like casting with it and identifying different fish with it and all this stuff, it all comes into play. Um,
Yep.
so I'm not against it, but I'm not for where it's going.
Eddie Endicott said, quote Gerald Swindle, "If you ain't scoping, you're a hoping."
I don't know. You look at them guys on Santee Cooper in the Bass Open right now. Them guys are catching spawners. Are they
Are
using
they?
live scope?
Yeah. I guess
They
it's
are.
that time. It's all across the country. Really,
Mhm.
they're starting to heat up. Kentucky definitely. Kentucky's starting to heat up. It's probably going to be. I mean, it's going to still be a few weeks before water. I think water temps last weekend when I went was 51, is what I
Mhm.
seen it. So it's going to take a little bit more to warm up. But
I mean, they're catching fish on the bank. Are they using live scope to do it? They're catching a few, that's for sure.
right,
There's ways to use that transducer to help you a lot catching
right,
bentting fish.
yeah,
I really figured it out last year
yeah,
on how to do it, what I'm looking for, um, and especially on beds that I can't see with my eyes.
right.
I caught a lot of fish last year doing it that way.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
is that good for spawn? Probably not. But at the end of the day, I don't know.
I'm
It,
with you, man.
it's
It's
such a
we could
tough
we
road to
could talk
walk down
about.
right now.
I could talk about this topic for hours. I really could. It's every time I bring it up, uh, the usual response I get is like, "Hey, man, I'll give you a quick answer," but we could take up the whole episode
Yeah,
with. So it's a lot, dude. It is. It's a lot that's going on right now, and it's hopefully something positive comes out of it.
hmm
And that's all we can really hope for, man. That's it.
yeah. Just one other thing about that bed fishing stuff. You can side image all those beds that you can't see.
Right. Yep.
You can do it, and you can drop a waypoint on them and be right there,
Right.
right
Yep.
on them.
Yep.
The only difference is you're actually able to see what the fish does. That's it.
Right.
So you can't tell me that these guys can't go fish 100 beds a day and get 5 big ones to bite.
Right. Yep. I agree, man. I
It
agree
is
with.
possible.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's not live scope's not the end of the world, but where it's going worries me.
Oh yeah.
Right now, it doesn't worry me that bad because you can still go out there with your
Right.
German, 9 your 9-inch German on your boat with your little lithium battery sitting next to you, and
Yep.
you can go catch them
Oh yeah, for sure.
with it. And if
For
you
sure.
don't want to use it, come to Mississippi in the summertime.
Yep. Well, Jackson, man, I really appreciate you coming on tonight. I really do. It's always fun having you on here and catching up, man. I know we don't talk as much as we used to before. I know when you were down here in
Yeah,
Western
every
Kentucky,
day.
it was every single day. But just real quick, where can everybody reach you out on social media? That way, they can kind of look you up, add you on Facebook and stuff.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, at Jackson Perry Fishing. That's it.
Okay.
I do some electronics classes out here on the Mississippi River as well. So
Okay.
if anybody's local.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're looking to learn a little bit about electronics, you're up towards Mississippi, up north in that area, and on the north side of the Mississippi River, up in Wisconsin, hit Jackson up. He'll hook you up, give you a good class, teach you a little something maybe you don't already know. So, but hey, guys, next week, just going to let you guys know, Bassmaster Kayak Series. Jake Kikuli from New Jersey. He won the first event. I think it was on Lake Murray or Lake Hartwell. I don't remember exactly, but he's going to be joining us next week. I know we have a lot of kayak anglers that watch. I like to kayak fish myself. And I think he's going to bring a lot of information that you guys that are looking to maybe fish like the bluegrass kayak angler tournaments or your local kayak tournaments and stuff like that. I think he's going to bring a lot of good info. He's got a YouTube channel. I watched it the other day. And just looking at his setup, it taught me quite a bit. So, but yeah, you'll be looking forward to that. And yeah, next Thursday. Jackson, again, man, I just want to say thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it, brother.
Absolutely. It's always a good time.
All right, guys. Well, we will see you all next Thursday on Bass Fishing Live. Jake Coolidge, y'all have a good week.